Again, Shabbat Shalom. And, I don't know if it's because I was good in algebra and geometry in school that it's easy for me to see these formulas and these patterns that God sets down for us. Within the patterns, there's room. We have movement. He's not a strict disciplinarian. He wants us to live a full and rich life. So he gives us principles, and these principles, the things that change are the world. The world changes its customs and traditions, but the principles remain the same no matter what. And that's why they just seem to spring out of the page at me when I'm looking at them. And I wonder if I'm able to get across what I was trying to say. What are there anything comes to mind with what I said?
I loved the idea that there's a pattern. Like when people say, for example, the Bible's so complicated, blah blah blah, but it really isn't. It's full and complex, but it's not complicated. And I liked what you said, about everything that happened. Like Adam we were kicked out of the garden for disobedience, and then if Israel was kicked out of the nation for disobedience. There are patterns, and it's interesting that you say that about math, because mathematicians and astrophysicists and cosmologists all talk about the universe. I mean, obviously the universe is full and it's many things, but mathematical principles can describe the universe because there's unity, and just as a mathematical equation applies, it's almost like a template for the way things work. So math is like the universe is can be described mathematically. It sounds crazy. So it is but it's a beautiful pattern. In other words, it's not chaos. It's order, and math is an orderly study. People who study, they look for things that have order and describe things. It's not chaotic. That's why they'll spend years with Einstein or whatever. I just heard about this famous. There's a woman, cosmologist, who's kind of becoming. I don't know if you heard of Claudia something, and she's studying the nature of the universe, and she's considered like kind of an Einstein anyway. But it all boils down to things working out. When you put together a puzzle, a child puts together a puzzle, there's order in it, and the pieces fit together. Otherwise, it's not a puzzle. Like, really, we don't realize people who say do anything you want, blah 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 blah, but really in their life they don't even realize, even down to a simple puzzle that you buy for a child, that there's order in the universe and there's beauty in it. A puzzle is beautiful. If you see, some of them are exquisite. Anyway, I really like that picture of things.
And the idea is, how does that help us in our lives? And because
it helps us,
because when we read these things in the Torah, we need to look at how does it apply to us today. Like, one of the things that my friend Cindy asked me was the last verse of, let me just read it. The last verse of the last portion in Deuteronomy 21, it says, if in the land your God is assigning you, someone slain is found lying in the open, the identifier of the slayer is not known. So the bottom line is the land has to be kept clean. So the Levites had to come, they had to take an animal and they had to break its neck. And it said, and they shall make this declaration, our hands did not shed this blood, nor did our eyes see it. Absolve, they go to God, absolve your people Israel, whom you redeemed, and do not let guilt for the blood of the innocent remain among your people Israel. They shall be absolved of blood guilt. Thus shall you remove the guilt from the blood of the innocent for you will be doing what is right in this sight of God. And, you know, God is constantly wanting us to stay clean. Yes, Richard, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to spin off about what was talked about mathematics. And so I was in this Torah study group for a long time with another synagogue, a regular synagogue. And we had two mathematicians in our Torah study. And one of them made an interesting comment. He said that mathematicians sometimes have an easier time with the concept of God because mathematicians often wrestle with concepts of one or the concepts of two or concepts of numbers, such as, does a number one really exist or did we make it up? Something like that. I'll have some more comments. I'll mute myself for now.
But it's interesting because even if you look at a vegetable or you cut open a fruit, there's so many geometrical diagrams that you see in it. A flower, I mean, mathematics is everywhere, even in music. It's just all connected. It's beautiful.
When I used to study music, there's a system, I don't know if it's around anymore, they call it pantonal. And it was
What is it, pantonal?
Pantonal, P-A-N, tonal. Anyway, it was based on what they called the cycle of fifths.
Right.
And everything was totally orderly.
Right.
And now it's a lot of modern music when there was a whole movement of contemporary music where they try to change the basic physics of music. And it's, it was like clashing of gongs. It was not music, it was noise. Right. Even music is very mathematical. But I also liked what you said about, the earth is a living, it's like a living entity. And when you want to keep the earth clean, what you were just talking about with the dead creature or person, it's the same as our own bodies. I find as we become not only our own bodies, our own homes, we want order and cleanliness.
Well, isn't it interesting that a kidney bean and a zucchini bean, they have this almost the same DNA as humans. They have
98% or something.
And some of them, like a kidney bean is probably good for the kidneys if we eat it.
Yeah.
If you look at pecans and walnuts, they look like brains, little brains, and they're good for the brain.
Yeah, there's such order that it's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
It's just, you cut open a fruit and you cut an apple in half.
Exactly.
And you see the container for the seeds and the shapes. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Mauricio, it's wonderful to see you. And we all been praying for you, and I know that God is walking with you in this difficult process that you're going through. And but I really would like to hear from you about what you have to say.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom to all. First, I want to thank your prayers and your support, your different emails that you send me, different message and text by phone. I mean, during this process has been very difficult to me and to my family, but it's the process. At the moment at the cemetery, it came to my mind the verse of the Bible that says, "You are dust, and you return to dust."
Right.
Because that essentially is our body, dust. Okay. What is inside of us is eternal and returns to God. Regarding this portion, yes, you have made a lot of points this week. It's interesting that in this portion the name of Moshe do not appear. Okay. And and probably is because Moshe wrote according to the sages. Once he asked to God to be erased from his book, and now in this portion he is erased. But at the same time, I believe that is because God didn't want to that we put Moses in an altar,
Right.
okay, and make him God's only talk to the man through Moses.
Mhm.
And it's not about Korah. Okay, what I'm talking about is just that it's a teaching from us that God speaks, and He do not need obviously a person like his unique um, voice in this world.
Could it be
And
just 1 second? Can I just interrupt? Because I don't want to lose this thought. Could it be also that Moses asked to be blotted out, but here God is saying, blot out Amalek. Like God is saying, I am going to choose who I blot out.
yes,
He mentions,
also.
yeah.
And when we start to read this portion, it came to my mind that God speaks about war. And he says, when you have to go to war and fight against your enemies, then he 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 doesn't want that we fight for the wrong things, because he doesn't say, okay, with all your hate destroy your enemies, okay,
Right.
but what he's saying is, hey, even at the moment of war, that when you are fighting, and I don't and I'm not saying that during a war, like for example Ukraine or Palestine, in Israel, and Yemenites, and all these countries that are under a war, there is something in that God has put in all of us, that is our instinct of animals. Okay, then you have an spirit, a soul, okay, with your mind, that when you are in a place that are not under a war, then you feel very secure, very comfort. um, but when you are under a war, then God has put an instinct of preservation inside of you. Then it's like the animal part of you takes the control of your body. Okay, for example, if you are fighting, then you don't know from where, then you are a complete athlete. You start to run, even though you don't run constantly, okay? But then, because there is inside of you activation of different hormones, then you start to run very fast, like you are an Olympic athlete.
Yeah. The fight or
Uh,
flight response.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you start to say, oh, I run 2 kilometers and I do not feel that 2 kilometers.
Yeah.
Okay. Or then if someone is going to punch you, then you defend yourself and punch the other person. That is something that commonly you don't do, okay?
Right.
Because you don't go to violence to defend yourself.
Right.
Or you are under a war and then you have to take a weapon to defend your family, and you have to shoot. And probably in normal life, you won't do that.
Right.
Okay. But so this is a portion that is talking about a person who is under a war. So all their senses are in a way of defending their self
Right.
And then at that moment, you become more animal than human.
Mm,
Okay. There is more space to your instincts of
right.
animal than to your instinct of a spiritual person.
Right.
Okay. That's why we hear from different persons that are under the war. I've never thought I could kill persons.
Right.
I never thought I could put a bomb. I
Yeah.
never thought, and they feel guilty.
Yeah. Because it goes against the premeditation. We don't have it's opposite to
Yeah.
the premed. Yeah.
And so to these people is talking this portion. So uh and then in war, when you saw a person, probably his father is killing your brother, is killing your next to you, your the person who you love or who you admire in the army, and then you saw you kill their parents, and then you have a daughter and she's so beautiful, then you at that time you have an instinct of animal. And then the Torah says, hey, stop, you are not animal, even though you are under this very highest position of emotions and hormones, you still are an spiritual being. So when is that happening, then your enemy is not really the other person who tried to kill you. Your enemy is yourself,
Right.
your well. And then start to say, oh, control your eyes, because it says that when you see the girl, okay, your first enemy is your eyes.
Right.
Then it says you desire that other girl. Probably is for vengeance, or probably is because you have a very explosion of hormones, and then you have a sexual desire, and
Mm.
say, hey, control yourself.
Mm.
Okay. And then it says you have to take care of this lady for 1 month, and you cannot touch her,
Mm.
and you have to put her very I don't want to use this word, but I don't have another word right now, but put her not beautiful for you.
Yeah. Shave her head,
Put
cut her
her,
nails. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's
put her
interesting. I was thinking
ugly.
about, yeah, when I read that, I was said, why would the Orthodox Jews choose to shave the head of their wife when they got married, when in the Torah it says shaving the head is to make her ugly, to humiliate her? It's very strange that they would choose that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, uh, then you will know exactly if was for your instinct
Right.
or it's because you
If it's
wanted
real.
her as a wife.
Right.
Okay. And not only that, and you have to give her the opportunity to mourn her family.
Right.
So respect her time. He you feel yourself, I would say, um like like destroy yourself, because what you live in a war, probably you are like, I was under stress, I was very upset, and I was very sad because what I lost, etc. But think first on this girl, because she has lost um, her, her family. So and then start to talk about this portion, not only about this war, it's about all difference. In what I see, there is something that today is very common, which is indifference. Okay,
Indifference.
because
Right.
yes, you go and then you see something from your brother, there and you don't take care because, oh, I didn't see. I believe that is an illusion, that animal there or that property of my brother. And so it's like you don't have to it's not good to be indifferent to others' needs.
Exactly. It's telling us to go out of our way. It happened to Miriam and I this week. One day, Miriam came over and we were going to go for a walk. And it was a beautiful day. And I had worked all day and I was looking forward to going out. When we went downstairs, there was a lady sitting in the lobby. And she said, as we walked by, she looked at us and she says, "Oh, do you know this elderly lady who lives up on the third floor?" And she started to describe her. I said, "Yeah, she's my neighbor on my floor." And she said, "I'm visiting from New Brunswick. I made a time. I told her I would be here to take her out for supper because I'm going back tomorrow. And I can't reach her. I don't know what to do." So I could have said to her, Miriam and I could have said, "Well, we're going for a walk. Good luck." But we didn't. What I did was immediately I called the janitor. He couldn't help. I called a neighbor. The neighbor had the daughter's phone number. The daughter was trying to reach her and was on her way here. But Miriam and I must have spent a half an hour, and other people were coming in. They all saw that we went out of our way, including this woman and all the people who helped. Funny, we were all Jewish. I think it's something in the blood, in our heritage, because of what the Torah teaches. We need to go out of our way to help those they couldn't help themselves. It's true. Just give me 1 second, Mauricio. Richard, you have your hand raised.
Yeah. Are you in the mood for humor?
For what? In the mood for what?
Humor.
Humor.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it have? I hope
Okay,
it's.
we'll start with a shaving. Okay. It must have been painful for the woman. It must have been painful for the woman to be shaved. Because I don't know what kind of shaving equipment they had in those days. I have trouble shopping for my shaving accessories. I go to the store and I see razor blades for a regular shave, and I see razor blades for a smooth and comfortable shave. I have to ask myself, do I really want a smooth and comfortable shave? So that's a joke. Okay, and also, and I have a different joke too.
I don't get the joke. Sorry.
Okay, Richard, let's continue with Mauricio. We'll talk about this after, okay?
Okay. Okay, regarding the shaving, she was completely shaved.
Yes.
Okay. There are, for me, two meanings of woman's hair. One is for showing beautiful,
Yeah.
so beautiful, because that is why in Western, in Middle East, women cover their hair because she is, we say in Spanish, recato. In English, let me look for the word.
Well, I know also at the time when they had the temples, different temples, they had the women, the female prostitutes would shave their heads. That was a pagan practice. And the hair is supposedly a crowning glory of their beauty. Yeah.
But when they cover, it's because they are putting themselves with honor, okay, to her husband, okay, because they cannot show the beautiful and be attractive to other men's, okay. That is something in the Middle East, okay. But one is for beauty, but also for me, is something that God has put this long hair to woman. That is interpretation of myself, okay? To cover, okay, to protect her. And this is like a symbol that when you say completely this young woman, it's like saying she's uncovered, she's unprotected, okay?
Okay.
So that is more is deeper, because it's not only about beauty, but is to show the world that they are not longer covered by nobody, okay?
Right. Interesting. A beautiful picture.
So and then also speaks this portion about um the when you raise up your kids, because you have to be responsible for your kids. According to the sages, never happened that someone take this rebellious young man and be stoned by their elders, because everybody was like, oh, this is what the Torah says, so we need to raise up the properly this young boy, okay? Because nobody wants to to take your own children and take to the elders and in front of everybody and
Right.
say, oh, it's a stone is the best you can do, okay? Because it's about responsibility from parents. It's not about the rebellious child. It's about the parents. And it's also interesting that in the Brit Hadashah, it speaks out about Yeshua, because the Pharisees says that take this man who is a dunkard, who is a glutton, and who is probably Yeshua was not that. What they are referring to this portion, to their he is a rebellious, stone him, please, because he's talking about something. So when you know that Torah, then you start to think, oh, Yeshua was a very fat man, and a rebellious against the government, and you start to think on other things that are out of context. Um, and you know, and also is talking about that you don't have to be indifferent to other needs, not only about about the young woman, not about the rebellious guy, not about the properties of your brother, but also is what you talk at the end is about Amalek. You need to wipe out Amalek. And it's interesting that people, okay, Amalek, yeah, it could be a, a group of ethnic people at that moment. But today, because it is in a present continuous, this commandment, honestly, Amalek honestly do not exist
Right.
today.
The spirit of Amalek. It's the idea of Amalek. The Sinat
And
Chinam.
the Sinat Hinam is talking about Sinat Hinam. That
Right.
is the characteristic of these of these people.
Right.
And because even though Yasser Arafat says, "Oh, I am from Amalek,"
Right.
honestly, he was Egyptian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, he was not Amalekite.
Right.
So, but it's the spirit, that way of thinking of hatred
Right.
for just for free. Okay, oh, this person, I hate this for free. So God is telling us destroy Amalek. It's necessary to destroy Amalek. Not the person, not kill that person, but destroy this spirit. Because it's interesting that every time that Israel thought Amalek was destroyed, in the future, Amalek appears again.
Interesting.
So it's almost erased, but it's not destroyed completely.
No.
So it's every day that we need to destroy this. And it's especially hard when there is for example, this week that we were with my dad's things, then it start to happen things, for example, like between family there are always problems, okay?
Yeah.
Things that happened 30 years ago or 50 years ago,
Yeah.
and are still there
Tell me
inside their
about it.
hearts, even though they love one each other, okay? And then you have to talk to your brothers and talk to your aunts and uncles, and try to destroy your Amalek inside, okay? Because well, something happened 30 years ago. I didn't know that. And then there are, because the Sinahinam is not a lonely sin, okay? Usually comes with evil tongue,
Right.
okay? So when you start to hear different stories from different persons, oh, your uncle did this to me, okay, and that was not fair, it was unjust, and things like that, okay, then you hear the evil tongue, and then you decide, okay, what you gonna do? Do I have to hate this person because
Right.
of what happened 50 years ago,
Right.
even though that person never made something bad to me? Okay,
Right.
I don't think so.
No.
Then you cannot take party on those things,
Right.
and then you decide to say, okay, I know that person, and thank you for telling me, but I don't have nothing against my uncle, my parents, my whatever. So that is very important, because that is sinat hinam. Then I start to hate this person because something he made to another person that I don't know exactly if that is true or not is true. I was not a witness,
Right.
so I cannot take party. That's why the Torah says, oh, call the persons, okay? So I only know the half of the story,
Right.
okay? And then, how do we destroy Amalek? With also love for free, okay?
Right. Free
Just
love.
to love
Yeah. Which is not
for
the free
free.
love of the 60s.
Yeah, which is not, of the
Yeah.
16th. It's not
Yeah.
that. Um, and that is something interesting. By the way, I want to just about talking about my dad. Uh, the last conversation I had with my dad was about, um he died on Monday. Like 4 or 5 days, he started to have different difficulties to talk. Okay, because the his body was, going on
Shutting down.
down, shutting down completely. first he lost his capacity to move his legs, then his capacity to make excavations, and then he started to have problems with his mind. Okay. Why? Because when a people is between the life and not life persons, then also your body and your spirit is moving, is your spirit wants to go out,
Right.
and but still in this earth. So you are start to see different visions and things like that. It's very spiritual that moment, honestly. And so he start to see person who already died years
Wow.
ago
Wow.
in different spiritual things. Okay. But I remember that 4 or 5 days before he died, um, he had problems to connect and to link words. Okay, he only says, oh, hello, ciao, things like that. Okay, but he tried, and I saw his effort. Okay, in his sight, and he told me, son, I want to tell you there is only one God.
Wow.
Okay, and obviously, my dad was in the middle of different cultures and different believings, and he told me again that is one, and he is all, he is eternal, he is everything.
Wow.
And when I heard him, um, it came to my mind, oh, my dad has the pleasure in life to see God. Okay. And I remember that was his last uh how do you say sentence.
Right.
Okay. And then he only say, oh, thank you, hello, bye-bye,
Right.
things like that. And then my kids and my wife and obviously me went every day to look at him, to to mourn with him. Okay. To hug him, to care about him. um Pablo was the last person who feed my dad. Okay.
Wow.
And then I remember that he took my sons, um 2 days before he died. We went, no, one day before he died. He died on Monday at 12:36 in the midday, but the last day at 8 p.m. we went to his home. He was hard breathing, and he took the both to his with his hand, the hands of Pablo and Santi,
Wow.
and he could say blessings to them. It was very spiritual time at that moment, and that comfort me a lot. And then um, I could call and kiss him for last time. Um, and then when my elder brother went to his home, because on Monday he had involuntary movements in his because, as you mentioned, the kidneys, okay, are very important organs
Right.
in our lives. They transmit to your brain the need of eating and the need of drinking. Okay. And also when you start to not to eat, not to drink, then your body start to make movements involuntaries. Okay, so he fell on more or less ill at 11 a.m. So I went to my mom's um, school, pick her up, take my kids, and we run to his house. And I cannot explain, but there was it was a complete mess, the traffic on that day. So at the moment we get to his home, he already died.
Mm.
But I start to see how God was so wonderful because He prepared us for that moment. God allowed us to make all the arrangement before He died. Okay, and then um, we could bury him properly. But the problem is that on the same day that my dad died, there was an accident with a hell officer of the cops in El Salvador. They came from make a capture of a gangman in Honduras. They took an helicopter, and there were very hell officers of the cop and some military persons. And then the helicopter crashed, and also my dad in 2015 more or less he covered himself for his funeral, but the place on when he will be prepared and we have a service of his funeral was the very same place all the militaries went.
Wow.
So the house was full. Okay. And then I called to the service on Monday and say, oh, okay, I said, you remember me? I went to your office last week and we already have this arrangement. And I knew that you came to pick my father up in his house. He died in his house. And I want that to have this service starting at 8 p.m. So the person who attended me said, we have problems because the military service and the corporation of the police and the presidential secretary and a lot of persons wanted to use all the building. You don't have a space. So I can offer you to refrigerate your father for 48 hours and then start the funeral services. And I said, no, it's not acceptable. And I asked to God, what can I do, God? At that moment, I was sad for my dad. But you have to keep yourself very clear.
Right.
Think. And that is about this portion. Hey, do not let your emotions take control of you.
Right.
Okay. And then I decide to come to my house, let my kids eat something, and then go to try to negotiate something. Okay. Because I said, okay, I need to find out a place to have a service with my dad. And that is a national cemetery where my family has a place to go to be buried. So they close at 4 p.m. So I couldn't, bury on the same day. So next day I had to do that. I didn't have options. So we went, we discussed with them. And then I was praying, God, save me, please. the moment I said that, she receives a call, and she said, "Oh, there is a solution because two persons who supposed to be here, they want to go to his town, and so there is a space now."
Wow.
I said, "Oh God, that's salvation." And then that's why the body of my dad arrived at more or less 10 p.m. We closed at midnight, and then the next day I had to go to different places. Oh, sorry. We had to went to different places, okay, and just to bury him, and made different procedures with municipalities, gets the function certifications and things like that. And then we arrived more or less at 11, more or less, at the funeral service. Then again, okay, at night and during the day, because of the persons who were there, they closed the place and nobody could enter.
Oh,
So we had to go and discuss with people. And then again, I saw the salvation of God because there are some, because of my job, I know some cops that are high in a high position. They authorized me to enter my people to my dad's funeral service. Um, and at the end, they said, "Oh, there is no ban to take your bodies of your father to the cemetery."
oh,
So they prepared, a van. They took the uh, the seats out and put his body there
wow.
with a coffin. And
Yes.
then we went to the cemetery. We had a beautiful service there. I talk and I thank God, and I cry a lot there. And then he was buried. And and I thank God for that because um, today the cemeteries usually puts you in a crypt, which is made, and uh, there is no how do you say that, soil that
Oh,
covers, okay,
okay.
only cement
Right.
around you.
Right. Okay.
So but in the way we choose to die in our family, we want to go to soil.
Right.
And so I said thanks God because I can do that in this place.
Wow.
Okay. So in he receives a lot of affection from different people. We receive a lot of flowers, and I was very happy for that because my dad loves a lot of the flowers, natural flowers. And and we receive more or less 25 different arrangements from different people. And even though we have different kind of troubles, I don't know how many people I receive, I don't know, 400 or more people.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So I was very busy, I I finished completely tired, okay, of attending people and doing a lot of things. And I thank God because I have the capacity to make all the uh, to comply my promises to my dad. Yes, I promise you to have the service. I promise you to bury you, and I promise you to honor you. And God allowed me to do that.
Right.
And that fills my heart, even though I want to cry right now,
Yeah.
but no, it's something that I thank God because He allowed me to fulfill my promise to my dad.
Right. That's wonderful.
And then we start different tramitations after my father's death. Right now we are next step. We are trying to do what we're gonna do, but thanks God, we have received a lot of affection, love, messages, and we need the support. We have the support of everybody.
And God.
And you know, but at the end, I thank God because um, He allowed me to mourn my dad, even though in all this process, I could see how is the death, okay, natural death,
Mhm.
because obviously something has to, you know, to be unhealthy so you can die, but the body is dying.
Right.
And now I can see things very special. Next day I made garden in my house, and then suddenly a colibri. I don't know if you know what is a colibri.
A what?
Colibri.
Colibri?
In English is hummingbird.
Oh,
Okay.
hummingbird.
Okay,
Wow.
full of colors. I saw him in front of my face. Okay, flying. And then I just felt that is something meaningful that God sent me to consolate me.
Yes.
Okay,
Console. Yes.
console me. Yeah. And that's everything that has happened during these days. And this is about the Hesel, because I have seen Hesel also from different people. And according to the Judaism, the higher level of Hesel is to make a Hesel for those who are not able to return you back your Hesed.
Right. Yeah.
And that is the persons who already have died, okay?
Yeah.
Because that person is not able no longer
To
to
give you
pay
back.
you back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is so wonderful. In by the way, changing the subject, you asked me something about the donkey, right?
The donkey?
Yeah, that you break the neck, no?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The animal that had its neck broken. Yeah. Why did that forgive the sin of the person that didn't know? Yeah.
No, but you know that the point is very simple. The donkey is an animal that is impure. Okay.
Oh, I didn't really remember it was a donkey.
Yeah, in mula, burro. Okay.
Okay.
And then
It says
in
here the
those,
heifer. The elders of the town
which
shall bring
one?
the heifer.
Heifer.
Where is
Oh,
it? Is that- It's in Deuteronomy 1:21, verse 4. You shall break the heifer's neck. What it should say,
It's from the cattle group.
uh, Nachal. Hang on, Nachal. No, it doesn't say here.
Donkey is equine.
I can't find the word. Zara, seed.
it's a calf
Uh,
or is donkey?
well, it doesn't say here. Hang on.
Equine is for
Oh,
horses.
heifer.
Heifer, that's a translation, but I can't find heifer, eglah, heifer, the female cow.
Oh, the female cow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's,
You know, I was thinking about the donkey because the Torah says about the donkey that you can break the hell for the firstborn. Okay.
yeah, but no, here it was and your people, that's the way he was absolved of blood guilt. And I said,
Okay. That is
Did you
in
read
Naso.
the whole verse just to get the context?
yeah, it says, if in the land that your God is assigning you to possess, someone slain is found lying in the open, and the identity of the slayer is not known, the slayer, your elders and magistrates, shall go out and measure the distance from the corpse to the nearby towns, because they don't know who killed him. So the elders nearest to the corpse shall take a heifer, which has never been put, the yoke has never been put on, and they shall break the heifer's neck. And then the sons of Levi, the Kohanim, shall come forward, for your God has chosen them for the service. And the elders shall take the broken neck and shall make this declaration. Our hands did not shed this blood. Our eyes didn't see it. Please, God, absolve your people Israel, whom you redeemed, and don't let guilt for the blood of the innocent remain among your people. They shall be absolved of the guilt. Thus you will remove from your midst guilt from the blood of the innocents, for you will be doing what is right before God.
Okay.
It said heifer, that's a female.
Heifer, yeah.
That's
That's interesting
the
too.
female.
Yeah.
I don't know why exactly is for the woman, the cow. Okay.
Right.
But honestly, the point here is that nobody knows who is the guilty.
Right.
Okay. So when nobody knows who is the guilty and do not appear the person who say, oh, I am the person who killed that person, or was an accident, I don't know. The point is how the Torah is very clear that if you do something wrong, then you have to pay.
Right.
If nobody is responsible, then all the nation of Israel is responsible for that. Okay. So to cover the all the nation, I would say, okay, and do not put as guilty and suffer the consequences of that murdering. The priest took a heifer, okay, as a sign that, oh God, forgive Israel for let happening this murdering here in this holy land. So it's about to and why to take an animal, because remember that it's not the animal itself that clean you. It's when you approach to God, and when you approach to God, you cannot come with your empty hands before God. You need to take an animal alive, and then the priest who represents, in this case, all Israel, comes before God, okay, in the altar, because in front is the tabernacle in which is the presence of God. Okay, so he presents before God and put his hair over the innocent animal, okay, and said, oh God, I feel the suffering of this animal that should be the nation of Israel here. So I kill the animal because that is what we deserve for let murdering happen in our community. Then God hears the voice, the offerings, and forgive Israel. Okay, it's not really the heifer itself; is about the symbol.
Right.
Okay,
But couldn't the heifer just, sorry to interrupt before I forget, couldn't the heifer, because it's a female brings life and a life was taken, so maybe that's a symbol there of it being a
yeah, it could
female.
be.
So
It could be.
how do we relate to that today? how could that be applied today just by going before God?
Okay, today the society is very clear. Okay, for me it's very clear because today the society to kill person is a number. Oh, how many people? For example, if you go to Caracas or you go to Brazil or Mexico, even in El Salvador, for us, we lost the capacity to feel the pain of murdered people.
Right.
For us was a number. Oh, today we're 18. Oh, was low.
Right.
Oh, tomorrow is 65. Oh, was very high. Be careful at the streets. We lost the sensibility that is a person who is dead, okay, whose blood is taken out of the time, okay, because of the evil, the sinat hinam, okay, and then especially when you start to see the society that start to kill for things that are not really valuable, okay. For example, in Costa Rica, a person killed his neighbor because of a tube of water. Okay, can you imagine that? Because you know you put water on my garden. That's why I killed my neighbor. Another person's killed for nothing. For example, here in El Salvador, the guns wants to go to the streets without lights in his cars. When you make a sign to them to change your lights in order they can supposedly be aware that they didn't have lights at night, that was the sign of 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 her chief to say the first person who made you the change of lights killed that person inside the car.
Wow.
So it was you were showing them mercy and hesed,
Right.
and then for that you were killed.
Right.
So the society with no capacity of feeling pain when there is one person who is murdered and nobody is responsible,
Right.
then destroy that society.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
So it's like God is calling us as a nation. Hey, probably it's not your mother, probably it's not your brother, probably it's not a known person from you.
Right.
But feel the pain because it's alive, innocent in your community.
Right. Right.
So that is the meaning of
Right.
that.
I understand. I thought it was interesting how when you described Pablo and Santi with your father, and you, like we gave you the name Yosef, it's like Joseph had his two sons blessed by his father at the end. It was very, very similar. Anyway, it's good to see you. We'll continue to keep you in prayer, Mauricio, for the days ahead, and that everything will go smooth. And what I see in my life, and I know many of us see the same thing, when we put God first, when we give him everything, there was a situation that came up even in my own family where I really didn't like my daughter. I almost didn't want to have a relationship with her. And I didn't ask God to change my daughter. I asked him to change me, to just give me, to take that away. And he did. And then everything doesn't change the way things are in the family, but it changes my vision, my attitude toward it. But if we put him first in absolutely everything, he works things out in ways that it's unfathomable. So anyway.
Can I just ask one thing? Maybe this is my shtick, but Mauricio, how does your daughter fit into this? Like I know your sons were blessed, but how does she feel about the whole thing?
Samara, she's the younger. Okay, she went to when my dad died. she was at his room, and she's completely different. She's more she apparently is not very emotional, okay, but she is. So she ran, and she couldn't see my dad. She doesn't want to look at him, but she told me that she was running to see his grandfather and feel that stress and anxiety. And then when she entered to his room and look at him, that was covered completely, and he was without any movement, she felt peace. Okay, she told me that words. I felt peace, honestly, that and
Wow.
I feel I start to calm down and feel more relaxed. That already my granddad was in peace. Um, she could like I don't know 1 week before he died was the last day she could see my dad. For my dad was very special because um, she's the younger granddaughter, and she could hug my dad, kiss him, um, and have this capacity to be close to my dad, and make a joke. The last time I saw my dad smiling and laughing was with my granddaughter, well, with Samara, because Samara right now was under her first class of volleyball,
Of
and my
what?
dad volleyball. She's practicing
Oh,
volleyball,
volleyball. Okay.
and my dad just said to her, "Oh, you want to show your figure?" And he started to laugh. Okay, and that is something funny for all of us because even though my dad was close to death, he was joking with my. That means that she was very special for him, and for my daughter also. So she's right now probably she's 11 years old.
Yeah.
Right now, she could barely understand, but she feels pain. But I believe that it's important to have all these kind of experiences
Yes.
because there are many people that is probably, I don't know why I'm going to say that, but probably sometimes we believe that when it's a person who is dying, okay, we need to protect our kids,
Right. No.
and because we want to protect them, we don't want to go to see the person who is under an illness,
Yeah.
but that is not right.
Right.
Okay, in the Bible we read that everybody who was very close to death, all the family, sons, grandsons, and
Right.
great-grandsons were close to him.
Right.
Okay, because kids needs to face the reality that there is a death
Right.
first.
Right.
Second, they need to practice hesed over those persons who are sick, okay,
Right.
and feel the pain.
Right.
That is a process. But today words is no, oh, we want to protect them.
Yeah.
We don't want to show them reality.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So that is why I said, no, I'm going to, you have to come with me. You want to come? And I motivate them to go by
That's great.
themselves.
That's wonderful.
But and this is, I don't know what I say that, but probably will help another person.
Yeah, it's very important, all these things, because that's exactly what happened with me. I was protected from all those. I didn't know, and then I don't know how to even behave. Like it's very important to bring our children through these natural stages in life. Shabbat shalom, Sarai. I don't know how much you understand of everything. I hope your English is getting a little better in Texas. No?
Watching TV. Watch TV with
Sí, it's
subtitles.
understanding.
Sarai?
Mauricio, por favor, ayúdame.
Mauricio, help me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch
Dale,
TV with
adelante.
subtitles.
Yeah. Is your Mauricio with you now? Your husband, Mauricio? Is he there in the house? She doesn't understand. No, no estás casa. Okay. Anyway, I'll close this. Again, we give you all our love and our blessings, Mauricio. And everybody have a wonderful Shabbat Shalom to everyone. And God willing, you will have a good week. Always, again, put God first. And we know we're in good hands. And I think with Samara, part of it is, the boys were the ones that received the blessings, but the women were always covered by that male figure. She's always included with the males. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom, love to you all, and we'll
Shalom.
again.
Shabbat
Okay,
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Bye.
Shabbat Shalom.